I used to think growing strawberries all season long meant buying bags of fertilizer every few weeks and ordering new plants every spring. That's what every gardening channel tells you to do. But after a few seasons of doing it the hard way, I realized strawberries don't need any of that. They've been feeding themselves and multiplying themselves for thousands of years, long before anyone sold a bottle of liquid feed. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn one strawberry plant into an entire bed that keeps producing year after year without spending another dollar on it. Let's start with why the commercial method exists in the first place. Big growers plant strawberries in rows, strip them of every runner the moment it appears, and replace the whole bed every 1 to 3 years because the soil is exhausted and disease has built up. That approach makes sense if you're running a farm that ships berries across the country. It makes no sense in a backyard bed, where you actually want your plants to multiply and where you have time to build living soil instead of mining it. Once you stop copying farm methods at garden scale, everything changes. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. A healthy strawberry plant sends out runners, those long skinny stems that reach out and root themselves into the soil nearby. Each one of those runners becomes a brand new strawberry plant, completely free. Instead of cutting them off like most guides tell you to, I let them run wild along the edge of my bed. By the end of one season, a single plant can turn into 10 or 15. That's your endless supply, and you never had to buy a single seed packet again. But there's a right way and a wrong way to let this happen. Not every runner is worth keeping. I pick 2 or 3 of the strongest runners off my healthiest, most productive mother plant, and I snip the rest early so the plant isn't wasting energy on weak daughters. To root a runner, I just press the little node. That's the spot where tiny roots are already starting to form, straight into loose soil or a small pot set right next to the mother plant, and I pin it down with a rock or a bent piece of wire so it doesn't lift back up. Within 2 to 3 weeks it's rooted on its own. Once it looks sturdy, I cut the connecting stem to the mother plant and either leave it in place or move it to a new spot. Do this in early to mid-summer, right after the main fruiting flush, and by fall you'll have strong, established daughter plants ready to fruit heavily the following spring. The second piece is feeding them without a drop of synthetic fertilizer. I use fermented plant juice made from the fastest growing weeds in my yard, the kind Korean natural farming has used for generations. The idea is simple. Fast growing plants like comfrey, dandelion, or even young grass clippings are packed with growth hormones right at the tip of the plant. And fermentation pulls those compounds out into a liquid you can feed straight to your strawberries. You chop the weeds while they're young and actively growing, pack them into a jar, and cover them completely with an equal weight of raw, unrefined sugar. Sugar draws the juice out of the plant material through osmosis and feeds the microbes that will do the fermenting. Cover the jar with a breathable cloth, not a tight lid, and let it sit somewhere shaded for about a week. You'll know it's ready when it smells sweet and slightly fermented, almost like a mild vinegar, not rotten or foul. Strain out the solids, and what's left is your concentrated fermented plant juice. To use it, dilute it at roughly 1 part fermented juice to 500 to 1,000 parts water, so it's barely tinted, and pour it right at the base of each plant every 1 to 2 weeks during active growth. That liquid becomes a concentrated growth booster you dilute and pour right at the base of the plant. It costs nothing, and it feeds the soil biology instead of just force-feeding the plant, which is why the fruit keeps coming instead of burning out halfway through the season. If you want an extra boost right when flowers are forming, you can make a second batch using fruit that's already overripe or fallen, like bananas or apples, which shifts the ratio toward the compounds that support fruiting instead of just leafy growth. The third thing is what you plant around your strawberries, not just what you feed them. Strawberries love growing near borage, which draws in pollinators and is said to improve fruit flavor. They also do well next to garlic and chives, which naturally push away the pests that usually go after your berries, and near thyme, which acts as a living mulch and keeps the soil cooler and moister around the roots. Nasturtiums are another good neighbor, because they act as a trap crop, drawing aphids onto themselves and away from your strawberry leaves. On the flip side, keep strawberries away from cabbage family plants like broccoli and kale, since they compete hard for the same soil nutrients and can attract shared pests. This is the kind of companion planting that commercial growers skip because it doesn't scale to a warehouse operation, but in a backyard bed, it does all the work that a bottle of pesticide would normally do. Soil is the part most people rush past, but it's really the foundation everything else depends on. Strawberries have shallow roots, so they don't need deep, heavily worked soil. They need soil that's alive right near the surface. I never dig or till the bed. Instead, I layer straw, finished compost, and shredded leaves right on top of the existing soil, building it up over time the way a forest floor builds itself. That mulch layer does 3 jobs at once. It keeps the soil moist so you're watering less. It keeps the berries themselves clean and off the wet dirt so they don't rot before you can pick them. And it slowly breaks down to feed the very soil biology your fermented plant juice is trying to support. If you've seen my Olla irrigation video, this pairs perfectly with that setup, since the buried clay pot keeps a slow, steady moisture level right at root depth, while the mulch stops that moisture from evaporating straight back out. Now let's talk about the yearly rhythm, because endless strawberries isn't just a one-time trick, it's a repeating cycle. In early spring, pull back any winter mulch to let the soil warm up and the plants wake up. As flowers appear, that's your cue to start the fermented plant juice feeding every 1 to 2 weeks. Through late spring and into summer, you'll get your main harvest. And right as that flush finishes is when you let your best runners take root, exactly like we talked about earlier. By late summer, cut back old tired leaves on the mother plants to redirect energy into the roots and the new daughter plants. In fall, add a fresh layer of straw mulch to protect the crowns through winter and let the bed rest. Every 3 to 4 years, I'll fully renovate a section by digging out the oldest, least productive mother plants, since strawberry plants do slow down in fruit production after a few years, and replacing them with the strongest daughter plants you've been rooting all along. That way you're never buying new stock, you're just rotating your own free plants back into the bed. A few problems come up no matter how you grow strawberries, so let's cover those too. Birds and slugs are usually the biggest threat to ripening fruit. For birds, a simple net draped loosely over the bed during peak ripening keeps them off without any chemicals involved. For slugs, since the mulch that keeps your soil moist can also give slugs a place to hide, I handpick in the early morning when they're most active, and I keep a thin ring of crushed eggshell or coarse sand right around the base of each plant, which they don't like crossing. If you notice grey mold on the fruit, especially after a wet stretch, that usually means airflow is the issue, so thin out overcrowded leaves and make sure your mulch isn't piled directly against the crown of the plant. When it comes to harvesting, pick strawberries when they're fully red all the way to the tip, since unlike some fruits, they don't ripen further once picked. Pick in the cool of the morning for the best flavor and shelf life, and pick with a bit of the stem attached rather than pulling the berry itself, which keeps it from bruising and helps it last longer. If you end up with more than you can eat fresh, which happens fast once your patch multiplies, they freeze well, simply sliced on a tray before bagging. And they dehydrate into a shelf-stable snack that keeps for months. Put all of this together: free runners multiplying your plants, homemade fermented feed replacing synthetic fertilizer, the right companion plants doing the pest control, no-dig mulch building living soil, and a yearly rhythm that renews the bed using only what you already have. And you get a strawberry patch that keeps producing without you spending another dollar on it. This is exactly how strawberries were grown before anyone thought to package up the process and sell it back to us piece by piece. 1 bag of fertilizer and 1 bag of new plants at a time. Try letting just 1 runner root this season, mix up 1 small jar of fermented plant juice, and watch what happens by next year.